Welcome back to the By Design podcast. I'm your host, Ronnie Knuckles. So today we have a really cool episode that we've been waiting on. It's been a little bit of a challenge scheduling it actually, but we have Ryan and Justin with Bibles and Baseball. They come on and they just kind of give us the story of Bibles and Baseball, what their mission is, what they're going to be doing in the future. They've got a really cool event coming up in January where they have the former head coach of the University of Kentucky. He's Kentucky's most winningest coach in their history as a university. He's going to be coming in and keynote speaking at an event in January. You're going to get to hear those details in this podcast. But man, what a privilege it was to get to sit down and hear their story. I'm in Louisville, Kentucky, and I've been hearing, my kids play baseball, and I've been hearing all about Bibles and baseball through other parents, through other coaches, talking about how great of an organization it is. And so I've been really anticipating this episode, and man, what a blessing these guys are and were to us and are to the community and the kids that play baseball inside of this community. And it's very evident that God has his hand on what they are doing as an organization. And I'm super excited for you guys to get to hear more about them personally and more about the organization as a whole. So with all of that being said, let's get the episode started. So first of all, you and I met through Luat. Lou told me to reach out to you, and then through that conversation, you guys were like getting ready to start a tournament, like that weekend or the weekend after maybe. And so we had tried to get into that. Our team is brand new. For those of you listening, my kids play. I've talked about it before, but they're on a 9U travel team, and so we hadn't done a tournament yet. We just kind of formed this team over the fall, and we decided that they weren't quite ready. So we didn't get to play in that tournament, but I had talked to a lot of people that were involved, and they said it was awesome. And so, and then, of course, we started talking about getting you on the podcast. So I'm just really the concept of Bibles and baseball, first of all, we're a faith-based show. We'll have people on that maybe aren't faithful or whatever, but everything we do centers around Jesus. And all of our conversations, whether or not that's what they're supposed to be about, typically go back to that. And so I was super interested in just having you guys on and really getting to hear what your all's mission is, what the vision is, what you guys have, coming up in the future, how it all started. So with that said, man, how did this get going?
Man, it kind of started out. I don't know how far you want me to really go back.
Go back as far. We got time. This is long form, bro. So you can tell me the whole thing.
So my wife and I had, really said no. We're not going to do travel baseball. Like my oldest, he's 7.
That's what me and my wife said.
Yeah, we were like, we're not going to do it. And she was more adamant about no, absolutely not, than I was. I kind of flirted with the idea, and I'm like, it wouldn't be too bad. And then I was like, no, we can't do that, right?
Right. Yeah.
And then so my boys, we've played up at Mount Washington since Lincoln, my oldest was, 4. So we've been up there. We've created relationships, formed friendships, and all that kind of stuff. And so then this guy over here, he saw how good of a coach I was. And, I'm totally kidding. Oh man,
was sarcastic.
I had to throw that in there. But no, we were just basically approached of, hey, we're starting a team, or from a 7U team. Are you all interested? And we were like, no, man, no. And it came from. Really, it was more of a no because I was like, I'm not willing to sacrifice, my obligation, right, to go to church on Sundays because we all know, right, travel baseball is Saturday and Sunday.
Right.
And I even told him, I was like, look, man, I'm just not. I'm not willing to sacrifice Sundays. And he just very, was like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
And so he kind of shared a little bit of his, story about it too. And so anyway, fast forward, my wife and I, we've had this conversation, multiple times, and we agreed, that we were going to do it. And it was more of she was, doing her thing, and she was spending time with the Lord, and the Lord was just like, well, what if you ask me my opinion? And she was like, what? I already have your opinion. I'm not interested in you.
Yeah.
So anyway, we agreed to play travel baseball. And out of that, literally, man, came where we're at, today. Because even more so after that, like, we agreed to him, and I called him and I was like, hey, man, we're in. We just won't play on Sundays kind of thing, whatever.
Yeah.
And again, he was like, okay, man. He knew what was about to happen, right?
Yeah.
But he was like,
he was wise enough to go, all right, yeah.
Okay, man.
That's
All right.
fine.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
But I remember, man, and it was one of those moments where I call them marking moments with the Lord. I was sitting in my work truck, and I got a phone call from a buddy of mine who happened to be our union president, and he called me, and the first thing out of his mouth was, "Are you kidding me?" And I was like, "What?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "You're going to play. You're taking your boy and you're going to play for the Wolves." And I was like, well, yeah, this is really random, but yeah, I am. You know, what's it to you, kind of thing. Whatever. And he was like, well, man, So we started this conversation, and I was like, well, here's why. Like, and here's, and I said, I'm just going to tell you why now. I said, man, I just really have this this passion to pour into a younger generation, and pour into people's lives. And I said, what better opportunity? And he was like, man, I really don't know why I'm telling you this, but I really feel like, he said, for the past 6 months, this idea has been going through my head. And he was like, what do you think about Bibles and baseball? And I was like, I'm in. I don't even have to think. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. I'm in, which just literally sparked. He was like, I don't know anything. I just know that I was supposed to have this conversation with you. I knew that I was just supposed to basically share with you what I had kind of, just a thought,
right?
Run with it, and here we are running with it.
How long ago was that?
That was back in 2024. That was about August-ish, would you say?
It's a year and a half.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it was around August of 2024 when that conversation happened.
Yeah.
And here we are, November of 2025. Mind blown at what the Lord is doing. Just to be really honest, I believe that we're at the very beginning phases of something greater than anything we could think of and or imagine.
Yeah.
The doors that the Lord is opening, I'm just going to be real with you, they're mind-blowing, really mind-blowing, which to me just says the hand of the Lord is on this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's the very, I say long and short, but I mean, there's more obviously to that, there, but that's kind of how this really got started. And then literally, man, conversations happened from there. My wife and I really just started praying about this. I started talking to Josh Deacon, who's our vice president, who again is, he and I, we're at the inception of this thing.
And he was the guy you were trying to get on the show.
Yeah.
You called him Deacon.
Okay. Yeah, he wasn't able to be with us today. He's got prior obligations. So, but he'll definitely be on. If we're invited back.
Yeah. No. You know what? No.
Yeah. You know what? We're out of here. No, man. But that's really kind of how it was, and we just started praying about it, and the Lord just started to put the puzzle pieces together. And that's legitimately how I can tell you this thing has started to form, is that it was like little puzzle pieces just became, so evident and so real. And it was just, him literally fabricating this thing together, with, Justin and his wife, Jenny. They're a very vital part of what we do at Bibles and Baseball. And then another, family, Rob and Melissa McGuffey. They're involved with us as well. We have another guy on our board. His name is Chad Dorr, he's kind of I joked with him last week. He's like, bro, I'm like an advisor role for you. He's like, I don't even need a title. I was like, I feel it, man. But I guess
it's always good to have advisors.
Yeah. So he's, Chad's a very integral part, of what we do. And from that standpoint, but man, the Lord has just brought a team together to run with this vision. And I'm super humbled to be able to say, like, look what the Lord has done.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna tell you, if I try to put my fingerprint on it, right, it's just probably gonna look like a hot mess. But it truly is. Look what the Lord has done. Not Justin, not Ryan, not Josh, not the Lord has literally opened doors again that no man can shut, you know, and I'm gonna be real. He shut some doors that no man can open, right?
Well,
which is amazing.
That's him opening doors in his own way.
Absolutely.
We literally just had this conversation yesterday in here about how you know when God is at play because there's things that happen that they're just too coincidental. You know what I mean? Like we couldn't have orchestrated those things. Those are God things, and they happen in our business. And we, you know, as a business, it's a little bit different. But you know, we pray and give this thing to God every day. It's like, look, because it's easy to get in your own head and be like, look what we've done, look, you know, that kind of thing. But we try to give it to God every day as a group, and through that, the way that we've been able to grow has been His hand only. Like, because there's been times where we should have had to close our doors, but then 5 more open, or He'll shut one in our face that we're super excited about, but then, you know, He's just moving paths along. So I know what you mean by, you know, you can see His handiwork in it, especially if you're looking for it. And what you guys are doing, I mean, what you guys are trying to build, you have to kind of be looking for it, because
it's not the norm, right?
Right. Yeah.
It's not. I mean, it's not the norm in travel baseball. It's not
it isn't.
And you know, even more so, like it's not the norm in baseball in general.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you know, of course, I'm not gonna lie to you. We really started out with travel baseball, right? Because like that's what we were diving into.
Yeah.
That's what we were head launching into. You know, was travel baseball. But that was just like that little crack of the door. You know what I'm saying? And now like the door is beginning to crack even more.
Yeah.
You know, wider and wider, and you just see like this is bigger. It's bigger than baseball. You know,
oh, yeah.
It's Jesus, as you know, He's the end result. I tell him all the time, Jesus He's the goal, right?
Right.
Baseball's the vehicle.
Yeah.
Like. And I'm driving this 15-passenger bus, bro. Like, let's go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's all jump in and go after Jesus, you know, through the vehicle of baseball. And so it's
somebody told me the other day, it's not that serious. It's just baseball. And I'm like, if you like it's just baseball, then you're missing the boat, man.
Yeah.
Because it's just baseball, but you have the ability to impact young players for the rest of their lives, to literally change their eternity by introducing them to Jesus. You got to capitalize on that, you know, opportunity, because you might be the only reflection of that they come across.
Absolutely.
So, I agree. Baseball is a great vehicle for that. And that was, so what you were talking about where you and your wife, you know, were kind of debating on like, should we do this? Should we not? That's exactly the same conversations that we had, because the priority for us is we want our kids to get to know Jesus and be in church. And so when it came to travel baseball, I was like, I'm not missing 2-3 weekends a month. Like, we're just not going to do that. And so we ended up, the team that we're currently on, you know, we're talking about maybe 1 tournament a month. And so through that, I was like, okay, that's something that we can, you know, Jesus isn't only found inside the church walls.
Right.
So that's something that we can work through and then maybe do a Bible study with the team. Of course, we pray with the team every practice, that type of thing. And then I started to hear about what you guys were doing, and I'm like, oh, well, I'm so surprised that there aren't other organizations already that are beginning to pour in and develop what you guys are developing, because there's such an opportunity. Because the reality is, if kids love baseball, baseball is the one sport that it is what it is. You're going to have to play on the weekends. And there's got to be something to fill the gap. I think you guys are have created something that is beginning to do that. So what are your plans? I mean, I don't want to put the cart before the horse.
No, you're good.
What are your plans, you know, as you move into this coming spring season? What does that look like for you guys? I know you already had a tournament. We're looking at more tournaments. What kind of is the overall vision? What's that look like? Yeah,
that's a great question. We did host our first tournament this past fall. And mind blown is an understatement, really. Like, I would love, and I would let Justin, you know what I mean, kind of chime in here, you know, as far as that too, because we've had the same conversation. What does it look like? You know, what does it look like?
Yeah.
I would think definitely more, you know, tournaments and stuff. But I mean, Justin, if you want to jump in on that,
Justin,
you know,
by the way, my bad. I didn't give you a formal introduction.
No,
my bad, dude. We just started getting
it's
into
good.
it.
No,
man.
it's organic, man. It's good.
So, but yeah.
Yeah. So this past year, we kind of tried to get the ball rolling with some events, and that the tournament that we held in Mount Washington was, by our standards, at least our metrics, was a massive success. We had 16 teams across 3 age groups. We were able to share the gospel. We had a couple devotional times, a couple on-field devotionals, one massive devotional where we just stopped everything in the ballpark, and just let the Lord speak through Ryan, and do one of our devotionals. And kind of the vehicle we're doing this, obviously is baseball, and we're tailoring a lot of things around the game of baseball. My wife, she writes all the devotionals for our website, and we release a devotional every week that we're hoping that other coaches will start to grab onto and kind of share with their team in different events and things like that. But we've kind of started to dabble into what's next, and that's the question, right? We had a lot of success with that tournament, a lot of positive feedback from coaches and parents, grandparents, players that just really enjoyed that type of atmosphere where it's not so much get into the ballpark, pay your admission fee, play your games,
get the game, get out.
Yeah, it's a little more of an experience, and we had some giveaways and some great partners that came alongside. Luot and Guardian Baseball and FCA for sure came through for us, and it was a really good experience. So how do we that was coming out of that? It was momentum, right? What's the next step for us, and how do we capitalize on just that positive energy that we had coming away? And it's hard when you get into the winter months. What do you do? So we do have a Christmas event coming up at Solid Rock Church on Beulah Church Road on December 13th, where we're going to share the Christmas story with children, and we're going to have some different participating churches. Ryan's got some info on that stuff, but and then we're looking to do a legacy huddle is what we're calling it, but it'll be a coach's event.
You heard it here first.
You heard it here first, right? That's coming in January. We haven't really launched that yet, but one of the things we want to do is bring coaches in and kind of talk to them. We have a keynote speaker lined up who's excellent, just an awesome story, and an excellent warrior for God, who's gonna speak about coaching with purpose, I believe is his book even. So we've got that lined up. That's kind of coming next, and then we're filling out the tournament waters, right? I mean, USSSA, Grand Slam in our area, they do a lot of excellent work. Perfect Games coming in. I think they're going to run some tournaments in the state of Kentucky this year. So we're kind of seeing we probably won't run much in the spring in way of tournaments, but we'd like to get back into that in the fall.
Yeah.
But we'd like to come alongside some of those tournament directors even, and be able to do our own little devotional at these tournament sites and see kind of where that takes us, and if they would allow us the space to be able to do that in the same fashion that we did it at our tournament, where everything kind of stops 15, 20 minutes, and we just kind of pray together and work through a devotional and kind of get the kids engaged in that sense.
Yeah, it's cool, and you also get the families engaged too, which is cool.
Right.
Which, by the way, people listening, like, it isn't like a bunch of Christian schools and churches are coming out to these tournaments.
No.
These are kids. These are kids from everywhere. Most of them that go to public schools and maybe don't go to church. So the fact that not just the kids, but the parents and the families, because there's a statistic, and I don't know exactly what it is, but I think it's like, if the kid goes to church, like the parents take the kids and they drop him off, there's like a less than 10% chance that the family will. If the mother does, there's like a 17% chance that the family will. But if the father does, it's like a 80-90% chance that the entire family will end up going to church. So you guys are able to get the gospel out in front of these families and hopefully get them connected, not just through you guys, but to other churches in the community, and get them to at least hear the gospel. Yeah. That's really cool, man.
And that's kind of the goal, right? I mean, where 2 or more are gathered in his name, he'll be there. Right. And so we're kind of taking that and meeting people where they are. And yes, I mean, our family values church. I've got 2 boys playing on 2 teams in 2 different age groups, and we're just constantly on the go. So being able to do this has helped our family get together and stay together, right? I mean, we're not just showing up to the ballpark and our kids are gone. Yeah. They're sticking with us, and we're having devotional time and prayer time as a team and as a community, and we're trying to expand that out. And it's been, like I said, it's been fruitful. It's hard to get going and get people to see what you're doing, but there's a fierce need for this, and there's a want for this. You're seeing teams, I think, in my opinion, pray at a higher level at the ballpark. I mean, just after a game, getting together, whether it's with us or not, you're seeing teams come together. And I'm fortunate enough that my kids are homeschooled, and They play for the LKY community here in Louisville.
Okay.
For
Yeah.
the homeschools.
Hey, they're ballers too.
Yeah.
I'm like, these kids, they just play basketball all day. They get their work done by
Right.
10, and then they play ball all day, and then just beat the crap out of us.
No, it's wild.
You did your school. All right, go get
That's
your
right.
shots up.
Get your shots up.
For real. Yeah.
But we're fortunate enough to be able to bring that. That organization is praying at the end of every game and making sure that the reason is the reason, right?
Yeah.
God gave us these gifts to use and to utilize, and we're trying to put them on full display as humans, but being able to give thanks for that, or just the opportunity to be able to play.
Yeah.
I think that's something that's not lost on kids or parents or grandparents or attendees. That's something that's being seen, and there's a revival happening in that space.
Yeah, I agree. I think the younger generation is having a massive revival. Absolutely. Tim is the youth, not the youth. He kind of runs like the kid section of his church. I don't know what to call that, Tim.
It's called Grace Kids.
Grace Kids. Yeah. Anyway, he runs Grace Kids. But anyway, and like the younger generation, young, he's seeing a lot of kids begin to come to Christ. And it seems like there's just way more interest in it than it was when we were like when I was a kid. I grew up. My mom made me go to church 3 times a week: Wednesday, Sunday morning,
You
Sunday
only
night.
went 3, bro.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
No,
but it was
yeah,
like
for
it got to a thing where it was like I'm just going because I have to. But these younger kids, that's what they want to do. It's there is a revival, especially in America, I think right now, and what you guys are doing is you're able to extend that revival out to people that aren't maybe in a church community already, or aren't in families that go to church consistently. And I think you hit on something interesting when you were talking about like a lot more teams are praying. And I have a question too, because when we started this thing, I'm an assistant coach. I don't know anything about baseball, but I'm the least qualified person on the field. I played basketball, should have played baseball because I'm 5'8". I probably could have played a lot longer. But anyway, I'm like, look, we're going to pray at the end of every practice because the reality is it's God's blessing that everyone is healthy enough to be here, that He's given us, the opportunity to live in a place where we can even play this game. So we're going to give it to Him. And a comment was made one time where it was like, well, how do you think the parents are going to feel about that? Or do you think it's going to offend the parents? And I was like, do you think I care? Like, take your kid and go if it's going to bother you, but like, this is what we're going to do. And maybe that's a little bit harsh, but that's kind of how I felt. And so no, parents are cool. Like now parents are starting they creep in, they take their hat off, like they're kind of, they want to hear what we're praying about. But my question is, have you guys run into anything like that where it's been like somebody says something to you or like they're trying to make it weird or anything like that? Any challenges you guys have faced like that?
Not currently. I'll just be honest, not currently. Listen, I kind of agree with what you're saying, as far as like, and not in a harsh way, by no stretch of the imagination, because listen, there are a lot of different people in this world that are dealing with a lot of different things, right? And that parent may have a problem, with that because of, well, I went to church and I saw that, how that happened, and I have church hurt, and you know what? And I hear you. I that's hurt, right? And I think it's like one of those things of, well, I'm sorry that the church hurt you, but Jesus didn't.
Exactly.
And so like, even in those moments, I think that that's a really, really amazing opportunity, of that you're not going to compromise, right, on your beliefs at all. You're just going to create that invitation, right? Because again, at the end of the day, everyone has a choice.
Right.
We just have to give that invitation. And so even if, because listen, there are going to be people that
that's
don't agree,
why,
right? Like there's going to be that.
I'm
like,
just curious.
Listen, I mean, persecution, right, happens.
Yeah.
And it continues to happen, and
Right.
it will continue to happen. But it's like, I'm going to plant my feet right here, and I'm not going to compromise, right? And so, but I think that just shows, a love too, right? A loving like Jesus loves, like, to give that opportunity. I'm not going to sit here and bash you over the head with a Bible, right? Like I'm not going to sit there and I'm not going to bash anyone. If you want to listen, I believe that, obviously our words have power, and whether you listen to it right now maybe in 2 months when you have something come up, or 2 weeks or 2 days or 2 hours, that you're like, you know what, something he said may have resonated with me. You know what I'm
It's
saying?
just
And
the
that
seed.
seed that was planted
Yeah.
will start to grow. And so like yeah, it's going to happen, but it hasn't happened yet. But I also think that, to your point, like, hey, we're going to lead this way. I think being very upfront with people, in that aspect, and transparency and, all that kind of stuff. I think that's very important, to where it's not just like, oh, what? Like,
Yeah.
well, I had no idea they were going to do this,
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
like, this is what we're about. And having having that difficult, right, conversation of, you may not believe the way that I believe. Like you may not agree. That's okay. I'm still going to love you. Like
Right.
I'm still going to do, and out of that, I'm still going to preach, not even preach, but I'm still going to share the gospel of Jesus Christ, with you. And so, but I think that that's an opportunity for a seed, but I mean, I haven't as of yet,
Yeah,
right?
well,
I'm sure it's coming, but it's one of those things.
It may
of how
come,
do we-
and if it does come, I think it is an opportunity,
Yeah.
But I do think that, God will protect what he wants to protect. And so if he wants to soften hearts in those moments that might typically give you some contention, then he's going to do that. And if he doesn't, he's going to allow them to come to you because maybe he wants that opportunity to happen so that you can fill the gap. And so that was kind of my thought. I'm like, if they come to me, then it's an opportunity. Or if you really are been out of shape about it, then you don't have, I'm not forcing your kid to sit through this prayer.
Right. And I've been coaching in travel baseball in the Louisville area for about 13 years now. And we haven't been to this extent, bringing the Lord with us. And I think, when we first started doing this and praying and coaching and trying to be a mentor and a little bit more, it was met with some resistance. And I think that atmosphere's changed a little bit, and not so much with our team now, but when I was coaching older kids, the parents didn't quite understand, or, maybe when I started coaching younger kids again, it was, my kids are starting to ask questions and I don't have those answers. And hey, I'm here to talk, and maybe I'm not always the perfect resource for that, but I'm here to answer any of those questions and help you. No different than baseball, but to guide you on this journey one way or the other. And that's what I think is so unique about what we're doing with the website and the devotionals, is we can point this not just to coaches, but parents. If you want to read along every week and just do your devotional, it's got a Bible verse there that goes with the message. And there's a way to kind of guide your own child and maybe even yourself a little bit in your spirituality. And, just here's a verse, go open the Bible. And maybe something speaks to you. And there's, we got some catchy titles. My wife is pretty creative with these things.
She's pretty amazing.
And but it'll something's going to grab your attention if you're in baseball. Whether it's a term that you've heard before on the field, like daddy ball or something like that. But
I think that's what I see most in the groups on Facebook is daddy ball.
you hear that a lot, right? It's a negative connotation.
It's a button.
But if you read the devotional, maybe it's not such a negative thing when you start to look at it.
Right,
So
right.
there's a lot of different things. Lead Like the Captain is one of our new ones out now, and our Thanksgiving post will be coming out here soon. So there's a lot of different things that we can tie together through baseball and Jesus, obviously, but it's not just a resource for coaches. I mean, parents can definitely utilize it, grandparents even, to maybe just get your kid interested. Maybe your kid's not wanting to go to church, but he's going to go to the baseball field.
Yeah,
I mean,
and he's going to hear it.
Yeah, we've had folks say, hey, why don't you guys run something on Wednesday night as an event at the ballpark that, brings us out. It's like, well, we want to come alongside churches. And I feel like if we do an event at the ballpark on Wednesday night, we might be competing with a congregation in the area that we don't necessarily want to compete with. We want, especially if you don't have to be at the ballpark that night, go to church.
Right.
Or let us help you get to a church. Or come to church with me. Not necessarily we're not going to run an event to
take away
that.
from it. Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
More unity and less competition.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, because that's what it's about. It's about unifying. It's about going after the same. At the end of the day, and I tell people, I'm like, look, listen, man, I want to, because what we are, and to Justin's point, we are trying to connect with local churches in that avenue.
I was getting ready to ask you guys.
Yeah,
that,
because
if that's
to
what
your
you
points
said.
earlier, and I was kind of going to touch on this, a couple minutes ago, but when you were talking about it, we go to the ballpark, right, and we have these devotionals, or we have a tournament, and when, I'm not even going to say if, because it's already happening, right? When somebody decides to make the greatest decision that they've ever made in their entire life, and that's to give their life to Jesus Christ.
Right.
What am I going to do? Right? Like, what do I have in place? And that was a question that was asked very early on in the very early planning phases of like, what does this look like? And, all that kind of stuff. And it's, and, of course it evolves and all the things, but, and it was a question that was asked, and the Lord had been dealing with me about that literally the week prior to that conversation. And so that was just even more confirmation that was on his heart. Right. But it's connecting with local churches. It's connecting, because at the end of the day, when somebody gives their life to Jesus Christ at the ball field, because 100% it's happening, right?
Yeah.
What do we have in place, right? Well, that's where the local church comes into play, right? Like, that's where we're connecting with local churches, because again, like, I would be terrible to just say, hey, congratulations, you met Jesus. Have a nice life. Try to figure this thing out.
Yeah. Good luck. It's going to be great.
It's going to be the greatest thing. You know what I mean? Like, because that's where the local body comes in.
Yeah.
That's where that unity comes in, and understanding that, wait a second, you mean to tell me that you're willing, right, to pour into my congregation? Well, heck yes, I am. Right? Like, we would be ridiculous not to, because we're literally in this for the same reason. That's to see souls saved. That's for Jesus to literally come and transform their life. And how do we do that? Discipleship. I cannot disciple every single person, right, that you win to the Lord on the ball field. But guess what? I can plug them into churches that say, hey, we're preaching Jesus. We're preaching Christ crucified. You know what I mean? Like, we are preaching this.
Right, the word.
And I'm here for that. Like, and I don't care. Look, man, we're all different denominations and all the things. And it's like, I want you in a Bible-believing church.
Right.
And if I can partner with churches in the city of Louisville and abroad, that believe in what we're doing, like, that's the ultimate goal, to essentially plant people in churches to have that discipleship portion, because to his point, we have had people ask us, do a Wednesday night, or do something, and I'm like, I'm here for that. And that's great. But to his point, like, I don't want to pull you out of, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to pull you out of your church, you know what I mean, to come and do this. Like, I want you to go, and I want you to grow. I want you to be involved in your local church, because that's important. Like,
but if you have to be at the ballpark on Sunday, and you're going to miss that
Right.
message in church, why not listen to the word?
Why not use what program you guys are offering, or if you guys are at the ballpark, then get plugged into that for sure.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this question, and this might be something we could talk about off camera, but when it comes to partnering with the church, first of all, this is kind of a two-part question. The first part of the question is, what's that partnership look like in regard to how do you guys, come in to that church and say, hey, like, so I drive all the way out at the end of Greenbelt to Cornerstone Community to go to church. So it's like a 30-minute drive for me to get out there. Yep. But we love it. We've been with them since they were renting out a Catholic church off Deering, like they had just started. Long drive for us, but we enjoy it.
Huh?
But
Our Lady of Consolation.
That's Our Lady of Consolation. Yeah. So they shut down. I'll tell you the story real quick. And our church, Matt Morris is the pastor, and he was a coach at U of L under Patino, and got done coaching and decided he wanted to preach, of all things. And he was going to start this church in the auditorium at PRP High School, and PRP hadn't gotten back to him. And so Our Lady of Consolation had closed, I guess, or something happened, and we got that property and moved in and started having services. Well, what had actually happened is PRP approved it and sent the letter to the wrong address. But had he gotten that auditorium, we would have had to move out like 2 weeks later, because the congregation was like 400 the first Sunday. It kind of blew up. But anyway, they've got this property now, and we go out to the south end of Louisville. We're kind of disconnected from that community because we don't live there. We're in kind of Fern Creek, this area. But there's a hunger in that part of town too. And you can see it through the growth at Cornerstone and some of the other churches in that area. So let's say you guys want to, you get connected with the church out there, and you got Prairie Village out there. They're a big rec league. How does that work? So you get connected to the church. Say a kid from Prairie Village comes to Christ. You guys would direct that kid, hey, these are some good churches kind of here in the south end, close to home. And then That's the first part of the question. Second part of the question is, and this might be kind of run out, but when you guys look for funding, is that something that you guys are looking through, like coming along as a partnership with the church, and the church helps you guys partner in a financial way? Because let's be honest, you can't do this without some sort of income to be able to create what you need to create to spread the gospel. So does it look like that through church funding? Is that how you guys are looking at raising funds? And then also the connectivity piece at the beginning.
Yeah. So the connectivity piece at the beginning, I'll talk to that first. Definitely, it would be. So what I've started to do is I have started to sit down. We go to lunch, with these pastors or coffee or whatever. I'm a big coffee guy. So and I think best in the morning. Right?
Look, I'm drinking coffee. It's like 3:30 in the afternoon.
Listen, it gets past like 10 a.m. and just my mind just is, it's a grind time, right? But so we would go, and have coffee or whatever, and just really just share what the Lord is doing, share what our heart and our mission is, and that is to go, right? To go and to make disciples. It's the Great Commission, right?
Yeah.
And so going, obviously has multiple, things that go along with that, but going to the local churches and saying, hey, this is what we're doing. We would love to connect with you because, to your point, like if we go to a Prairie Village or we go to a Valley Sports, or whatever, and this happens, like I want to be able to, input. Basically, here's for lack of better terms, a flyer, right, or a pamphlet, or a QR
like you already
code,
have it geared
right?
up,
like as a QR code that hey, this church is in this area. You live here. This is a church that partners with us with Bibles and Baseball. We would love to plant you, or love to connect you, right, with this church.
Right.
And then that way, again, like that's that facet. And I know.
Yeah, well, and that's twofold, right? I mean, a church has to understand our mission. Not everybody's excited about this like we are. Forget baseball.
Yeah,
You
we
should
all
be in
got kids
church,
playing.
right?
We're hyped about it. Yeah.
I mean, there's plenty of people that have looked at us and go, okay, that's great, but why aren't you in church on Sunday? And it's like, well, we're all called to be missionaries.
Yeah.
Again, we're back to the Great Commission. But, when we leave church, right, I mean, you'll see signs at every Christian church in the city of Louisville when you're leaving that church, right? You're now entering the mission field. Mm-hmm. Well, we're entering the mission field every Sunday, too. I mean, and that's the thing. This is a mission. And we are a nonprofit, so partnering with churches is great in that regard, especially if there's a missionary prayer focus or something like that anyone would want to do with us as a partner. That'd be awesome. We would welcome that. That's not something that we expect in partnering with that church. Yeah. But if they just want to partner with us and say, hey, we believe in your mission, we like your mission, and especially if there's a hunger for this in our community, we want to be a resource for you to say, hey, you're off next Sunday. Maybe I'll come sit with you at that church. I'm not against that at all. Or we can send that kid and get him in touch with the pastor or someone who can reach out and kind of foster that. Right. But yeah, we don't want to cross. We're not going to say, it's got to be this denomination or you have to donate to our mission or anything in that regard. We just, again, all pulling on the same cord here, right? And
trying to point people to Jesus.
Yeah, that's it.
Did you guys go to Asbury, the revival they had down there?
I did.
At Asbury University?
I did not.
That was the wildest thing I've ever done in my. Tim went. Me and Tim went, and you just sparked a thought in my head when you were talking about the no denominations, because it was every denomination.
Absolutely.
I seen a Pentecostal dude going crazy, and I'm like, whoa, dude! Like I didn't grow up. I grew up in a Baptist church.
Wake you up a little bit.
You know what I mean?
He said, Me, I'm like, all right, bet. Let's go.
Why not? He was hyped up, boy.
let's
I mean,
go.
I grew up in a Baptist church. What do they call them? Like the Pentabaptist kind of
Bapticostals.
Bapticostals. Yeah. I knew it was one of those. I mean, I seen a dude hop out of a wheelchair and take off running one time, but he started in on speaking tongues, and I'm like, I'd never heard that. But it was a picture of this is what it's meant to be, because as long as we're pointing back to Jesus, as long as He is the centerpiece, then you're going to get there if you're pointing people to churches that are offering that. That are offering and centered around the Bible and centered around Christ. Yeah. And so I think that's really cool. And I love the fact that you're partnering with local churches, because that was one of the questions that I had, and you guys answered it kind of right out of the gate, but like, what does it look like, when you're in Shepherdsville and a kid at a somebody has invited you out and a kid gives his life to Christ and that kid lives in Shepherdsville, how does it look to get them connected? And the way you guys are going to partner with these churches and get that done is.
Yeah, we have several different churches, on board right now. Matter of fact, with our legacy huddle that we kind of dropped a little hint on there, coming up.
I was going to ask you about it at the end.
Yeah.
Again,
but Eastside Community Church there off of Billtown Road, Pastor Chris Smith, phenomenal man, phenomenal church. I've sat down, and had coffee with him, and Rob McGuffey, one of the guys on our board, goes to church there and stuff. And so we've sat down and had a conversation with Pastor Chris, and Pastor Chris is like, man, I believe in what you guys are doing. So, any way we can help, and so you talk about partnerships, right? Like, well, we have an event. Pastor Chris, hey man, this is what we're looking at doing. Would you all be willing, to host? And he has, he's told me, Ryan, I have the facility, to be able to host this. And I was like, fantastic. Let's talk. There's just been other churches, Dixie Valley Church of God over off of Quinn Drive, over off of, why did that Rockford Lane.
Oh,
yeah.
A little bit
Pastor
up
Stephen
into PRP.
Webb. Yeah, Pastor Stephen Webb. Super good dude. It's funny, Stephen was my youth pastor back in the day.
Oh, really?
And ran over me with a church van. I'll never let him forget it. But anyway, but so, he's even said, hey man, we believe in what you're doing. We're going to come alongside you, Solid Rock Church there off Beulah Church. Hey man, we're going to come alongside you. We're going to do this. Well, that's where we're hosting our Christmas event on December 13th, going to come in there. So it's just been a lot of different connections, right? And a lot of different, partnerships. And again, if we go to the South End, or whatever, Pastor Stephen's like, hey man.
Well, the first thing I'm going to do when this conversation is over is give you guys, I'm going to get you in touch with two different pastors.
Yeah.
But,
I love it.
And one in Bullitt County and one in the South End for sure.
Yeah.
But anyway, I can see, I got kids that play baseball.
Yeah.
But if I'm a pastor, I'm excited about this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And listen, I'm going to be real with y'all. It's out of the box.
That's why I like it, though.
It's out of the box, right? It's very, and I say this with all of the love in my heart because, again, I grew up in church, right? Like I was there. I was pulled there most time, like so, I was there. It's not what you think that something like that, like it's not this isn't how it's supposed to look, right? Like this isn't how it's like, it just doesn't make sense, right? To the natural mind. But literally it's like, this is, to Justin's point, a mission field. We are local missionaries going into the local parts of town, right? And this side in the USA, right? I mean, like,
but let's be honest, dude. That's a real need. There's a real need for that.
Absolutely.
Well, and you walk into some of these travel ball tournaments.
Ooh,
man,
that's a real need.
Dude, my kids played on the Fern Creek All Stars,
Yeah.
and some of the stuff, like the music they were letting these kids listen to, the walk-up songs. I'm like, bro, what are we doing?
I thought I was in the club.
Yeah, I'm like, is anybody listening to what these words are saying right now?
Oh, yeah.
And these kids are just, that's what they view baseball as.
Hey, listen to some of the words out of the parents' mouths
towards
their kids, towards their coaches, towards the umpires. I mean, it's a nasty environment.
And that's what I mean.
Right?
There is a need for this.
Yeah.
It's not normal per se, or what. And I don't even say this like in a bad way, but like what the church, thinks it should look like type thing. But man, it's so to everybody's, it's so needed. And like and I think that we really have to think outside of the box sometimes. We really have to have. And I'm not saying some crazy, thought process, but we just have to think about, okay, there is a generation that is lost and dying and on their way to hell without Jesus. How can we go and present Jesus, and like
meet them where they're at,
and exactly
because they're going to play baseball
100%, and that's
I'm saying.
And it's funny
they don't care about your church sermon necessarily all the time.
Josh Deacon said it. He said, I'm finding when we started talking about this at the very beginning, back in August of 2024, when we started talking about this, he was like, Ryan, you have no idea the kind of like-minded people that are at the ballpark that they just say, and I've met a lot of those people. we're just so far in, like, you know, and like, how do we pull back, or how do we do this, or how do, you know, how do we make sure that, you know, our kids know, you know, and it's like, listen, just as much as this is for your kids, it's for you too, you know, of like, Jesus needs to be the focus, you know, and Jesus doesn't need to, he doesn't need to be second best, you know? And so it's just being able to go, right. And like I said, and go to these tournaments and go to and that's what I kind of alluded to earlier, you know, as far as like, it's the door cracked open in the travel baseball world. Right. But even on the rec ball side of life, it's even needed there, right? Like I take, and that's the way that honestly, that's the way that I coach, you know, and like parents know now, you know, well, if we get on Coach Ryan's team, like this is what we're going to get, right? Yeah, we're going to go and play baseball. Yeah, we're going to go do our thing. But first and foremost, we are going to 100% acknowledge Jesus at the beginning of everything that we do, you know, whether it's prayer or, you know, I'll take times at the end, you know, sometimes I do devotionals and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, this is much needed even in rec baseball. This is needed at the high school level. This is needed at the college level and like, you know what I'm saying? And so, but the door cracked. What
is God going to do with this?
Yeah. The door cracked at travel baseball for us to come along, you know, come on, you know, to go and play for the Wolves. And it's like, okay, we're in this, let's go, you know, and it's like the door it cracked there, but just the Lord just continues, right, to open doors. And that's why I was saying it's all him, man. And it's all, I tell our board all the time, listen, man, if he ain't in it, I'm not with it. Like if he's not in this, I'm out, you know? And so, well, I didn't mean to derail that too. But.
You know, name me a family who's in either realm of baseball, really, whether it's in high school or college. And I've been hearing this for 20, 30 years, right? The politics, the pride, the ego, the coach, the parents, this or that, you know. Why not change that a little bit? And we tried to do that with our 8U team, right? But there's still ego and there's still pride and there's still people that just get caught up in that. And it's like, look, we're playing baseball. Great. I mean, it doesn't have to be we're jumping to the Yankees out of 7U baseball, right? I mean, that's not what we're trying to do here.
You're not?
Yeah.
But, bro. I mean, let's bring Jesus along with it, and let's try to change the environment that we're in, right? Let's be that salt and that light that we're supposed to be in that environment. And, you know, we're going to get coaches that go, we're not praying with you. Okay. We're still going to pray, right? We're going to have parents that don't participate in the devotionals. That's okay. They're still going to occur. And it's not a pressure environment, right? We don't want to bring that into anything, but we do want to be able to make sure that we're discipling the way that we're supposed to, and try to be that positive in somebody's life, because you don't know when you're changing a heart or a mind.
Or what is said at any point that is that seed that needs to be planted for somebody.
Right. And if it's not said, it's just, what good does it do holding it in? Right?
Yeah.
So. Man,
I love it. All right. So tell me about, you talked about it for about 30 seconds.
I dropped the hint.
But I want to hear about what's going on. I mean, I'm super interested in what's going on in January. I'm a Kentucky fan. You know what I'm saying? So it interests me. You're clearly a Louisville fan, I think.
No, bro. No, this is the Redbirds, my guy. What are you talking about?
Oh,
okay.
Old school Redbirds. Okay, my bad, dude. First of all, sick hat.
Thanks. Right. It's kind of
my go. I've been watching it. I've been looking at it the whole time.
It's kind of my go-to hat, man. Okay. This is like my favorite hat. When they came out with this at the, I think it was probably, I don't know, maybe 2 seasons. I say come out with it. I mean, but they kind of went back to two seasons ago, I think it was, with the bats, and I was like, I've got to have one of those hats.
That's pretty sick.
I got to have one of those hats.
Yeah. But where was I going?
The event in January.
The event in January.
Yeah.
So super interested to hear. So give me the full rundown. First of all, I know that you have this event. What's the purpose of the event, and then what is going to follow the event? Like what is kind of what does this event symbolize for you guys as an organization, and then what's coming in 26?
Yeah, so we are going to kick the 2026 year off on January 24th at Eastside Community Church with Legacy Huddle presented by Bibles and Baseball. We are bringing in keynote speaker Keith Madison. Coach Keith Madison coached at the University of Kentucky for 26 seasons and is the winningest coach in UK baseball history. Phenomenal man. I was able to sit down with him and his wife at lunch with my wife, and just literally, man, like just I was a sponge. I was because this man, he literally just so much wisdom comes out of his mouth. And he has a book called Coaching with Purpose that I would encourage everybody. Honestly, even more than that, even further than coaches, right? Even dads, because listen, you are raising the next generation, right? You are the man, you are the spiritual leader of your home, and and it's one of those things. If I think that's a valuable tool, and especially if you love baseball, like the dude is brilliant. And so Coach Madison's going to be with us on the 24th of January, and we are using that as our launch point of 2026. We will be providing books for every person, every registry that we get. We're providing those registrants with a book with Coaching with Purpose. We'll be providing breakfast that morning as well. And so we're selling tickets for $75 a piece. And then we have the opportunity, if you want to buy a whole table, we're going to cut that cost down to $60, a piece. And so it's 8 to a table. And so we're encouraging everyone, travel baseball organizations, if you want to jump on board and you want to buy tables, that's because you believe in not only what Bibles and Baseball is doing, but even more so what Coach Keith Madison has to say, and you want to impart that into your organization. I think that's a vital thing, and I don't just say that just because I want you in the building, right? But I truly believe that each individual coach, in your organization, can learn something from him. And so we're, like I said, we're going to be offering those books as well. It's just going to be a really, really cool opportunity to come and hear from one of the most legendary coaches in the game of baseball. And he is so much more, than, and I joked with him. I was like, Coach, like I'm sitting here with Kentucky royalty. And he just kind of started laughing. And he was like, and I was like, but honestly, Coach, more importantly, your heart posture is undeniable. Like I said, you're so much more than that, man. You are literally a voice. You are a general in the faith, and you are a general from the standpoint into coaches' lives. You are that voice, and you're leading a charge, and you are encouraging, and you are challenging people to lead differently. To lead, because that's exactly what it is. It's to lead differently. You could probably go back, to even, and honestly, it probably wouldn't even take much to think about maybe a coach, that was just screaming and or doing all the things. Don't get me wrong.
It's still happening.
Hey, bro, listen, I'm Mr. Hype. I'm all about it. Let's get in there, let's get after it. But it's
Right.
even more than that, though. I'm saying as far as downgrading and all of the things, and it's what are you doing, right? And he literally just, he comes in with such wisdom and knowledge, and just a heart for a younger generation and a heart for coaches. That man is phenomenal. And so, like I said, I can't say enough about it. And I'll kind of let Justin, kind of chime in on this. He's obviously been a very integral part, our whole team has, in doing this. So that for me is I want coaches to come, whether you're a high school coach, whether you are a college coach, whether you're a travel baseball coach. I want you to come because I firmly believe in everything that Coach Madison talks about. And not only does he talk about it, he walks it out.
Yeah.
He literally walks the walk, man. And he's not just a
mouthpiece.
Yeah. He's not just hey, do this, do that. He's legitimately doing this, even at his age, he started and I'm not gonna take and take all his stuff, but just he's a phenomenal leader, and so I just want to encourage everybody to come out and check that out. So Justin, if you want to speak more on that.
No, yeah. First and foremost, it's not a fundraiser, so to speak, for us for the year. This is an event we're official launch, I guess, is technically March of 25. So we're 8 months into this. And while we feel like we've got some momentum, not everybody knows, not all the coaches know what we're about. So this is kind of an open invitation to, come have a meal with us, come hear about Bibles and baseball, come hear a very great message from a very great coach and great man and again, a warrior for God. And just kind of see what we're about, because at the end of the day, regardless of whether you come alongside us and do what we do, you can be a resource for us to get into different areas in terms of just hearing the gospel, right? We want to partner and network with different coaches. I know like LaRue County head coach there, those guys are coming in for this event, and we've got some folks from different areas, Lincoln County, and it's not just Louisville, but we want to get the word out to travel ball coaches to come alongside you, right? I mean, and I joke about this all the time, but you see the posts on social media. We've got one spot open, right?
Yeah.
And we're this, and we've got this indoor, and we practice this many times in this. But man, what a recruiting tool would that be for a lot of kids? I would feel to say, we partner with Bibles and baseball. We do weekly devotionals. We're not just interested in your talent on the field, but we're interested in your spiritual health.
You becoming a man of God,
right?
In the long term.
And maybe it's just me, but coming in and hearing what we're doing, maybe it changes your heart. Bring your spouse. Come in, get you a seat at the table, get you a good breakfast, hear what we have to say, hear a positive message from Coach Keith, and we're still lining out the details on everything and how that's going to go down. But that's what we want to do. We want to partner with coaches. We want to bring them in, and we want to get the word out about who we are, and what we're trying to do, and what our heart's here for. Because I think a lot of people see us as for better or worse, a cash grab. Using the gospel as a way to grab money.
I've worked in a nonprofit, so I understand.
Right. And that's obviously not our goal. That's not what we want, and that's not the perception that we want out there. But we also want to, share our hearts for the Lord and our love for baseball, and how we're coming together to bring those two things together and try to get it out to a community that really needs it.
Yeah, I love that, man. I think you guys are doing a great job. And, to your point about, looking at it as a money grab, I would just say God's going to work that out either way. He's going to make sure you guys are taken care of. Like, to your point, as long as his hand is on it, he's going to open doors that you couldn't have otherwise. So, but I understand there's a little bit of like this something in the back of your mind where people are viewing you that way. Yeah. But he's going to work it out.
No, I think a lot of that goes back to that church hurt that people talk about.
No, for sure, dude. And look, there are some organizations that, I'm a veteran too, and there was Wounded Warrior. I mean, I don't know if you saw all the stuff they were doing. If you guys heard of Wounded Warrior program, so like you could buy their stuff when you were checking out at Walmart or whatever, and the CEO was spending like $300,000 at the hotel bar and like going crazy, and then they ended up getting charged, I think, and they ended up finding out through an audit that they had spent like $24 million on just like parties. And so that hurts the actual nonprofits that are doing good work.
Right. Yeah.
But I think God is going to protect what he wants to protect and move forward what he wants to move forward. And so just so that you guys are aware, I'm just getting into the baseball world. Like my kids are 7 and 8. They're playing 9U, maybe, I should be playing them in 9U, but my 7-year-old is definitely good enough. And my 8-year-old he's good at like skilled positions. But anyway, we're just kind of cracking into that world, and I hear about you guys everywhere. So like if I'm at Lou's talking about you guys. I was at my kid's basketball game the other day, and Keith was talking about you guys. And so I know we're in kind of a smaller community, but people are talking, right? Like people are beginning to know who you guys are. And so I think that's a good testament, and not one single bad thing. Like the only thing I ever hear is those guys are awesome. Those guys,
they must be talking about.
It's only been a few.
Probably not.
It's only been a few months.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, my point is that you guys are building a good testimony in what you've done so far, and I'm really excited to see what's going to happen in 26. And honestly, you got me kind of charged up about the event in January.
Yeah.
I'm going to definitely try to be there and get some of the coaches on our side to get there as well.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. And not to obviously do that, but we do have an event coming before that as well on December 13th. Yeah. That is our Swinging into Christmas for a Cause, and that's going to be held there at Solid Rock Church there at
Right by
6800.
my house, yeah.
Beulah Church Road there,
Yeah.
back in the gym, and we're going to be doing a big give back event. So we're going to bring in, obviously we are 100% doing. We're going to share the Christmas story multiple times.
So kids will be at this event?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. From 4 to 8 p.m. is when that's going to be. And again, this is a big give back event for us. And so what we're going to do is we're asking for just a $10 suggested donation. If you're a single person coming in or whatever, or a $20 suggested donation, for your family. But you're going to come in. We've got Santa Claus going to be there for pictures, and all that kind of thing from 4:30 to 6:30 that day. He was able to come in from the North Pole for all you kiddos that might be listening. He said that he would come and hang out with us for a couple hours. But we're going to be doing that. We're going to have one of our partners, Double H Canine. They're coming in, and they'll have Doug the reindeer dog, and he's going to be up there with Santa. We're going to have an ornament making station. We're going to have popcorn. We're going to have hot chocolate. We're going to have s'mores out by the fire. We're just a lot of different fun things for kids and families to do. Because what we believe in is obviously pouring back in, right, to the communities and things. And so we are going to take everything that we bring in, that day, and we're going to turn around and pour it right back into the communities. And we're going to partner with local little leagues throughout the city, and be able to sponsor kids that can't afford to play baseball.
Yeah.
Because I told you it's bigger than travel baseball for us, and so being able to partner with the local rec leagues, and saying, hey, we want to be able to sponsor some kids who might not be able to afford that, or families that are struggling, and all the things like that. So we're
it's $100 to play rec ball.
Absolutely.
And that's
absolutely.
That's a lot for
and
some
so
people.
if we can, as Bibles and Baseball, step in and say, hey, we want to be able to give you, this for you to turn around, here, let's say, West Louisville Little League. That's one that we're going to be partnering with, again, just whoever else wants to jump on board kind of thing. Hey, we know that you have this, we know that you have this in place. And so we want to basically make, a donation to your little league for you to distribute that out, to your kids that are able to play, so they're able to play. Okay. Because look, man, to your point. Yeah. And not only is it $150 to play rec baseball, but you have to think about it. You have to buy a glove. You have to buy a bat. You have to buy a helmet. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of cost there's a lot of cost that's involved. So, if there's people that come to the event that are like, hey, we have some gently used and or brand new equipment. We are going to turn around again, like bring that. You know what I mean? Bring that. We'll do a giveaway, some Bibles and Baseball merch or whatever, at the, a couple different times throughout the event. If, when people bring donations in, and that way, again, we can maybe ease the financial burden, for parents, that we can be the hands and feet legitimately.
Well, I can
of
tell you
Jesus in that. So.
Yeah, there's a real need for it. My wife taught at JCPS for a while, and a lot of the kids that go to JCPS live off of the school lunch. You know what I mean? And I'm like, it blows my mind that is happening in the city that we live in. That there are, and a measurable percentage of kids that live off of school lunch. And then the school actually has a program where they will send them home with a bag of lunch so that they have dinner that night. Yeah. And so if that's the case, think about how many of those kids don't get the opportunity to play sports because their parents don't have the extra $150. Right. And so, what a blessing it would be for the rec teams or the rec organizations to go, here, we got you covered. No big deal. Yeah. So,
and like I said, man, that's just another opportunity, for us to be able to give back. And for us, we've decided that as Bibles and Baseball, we are going to make a donation. You know what I mean? Like we're gonna give, money as well as whatever comes in, to that, because that's what we're here for. It's about spreading the gospel and essentially being Jesus to someone who
shining the light, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So
that's awesome.
That. Like I said, that'll be December 13th from 4 to 8 p.m. And so again, it's all on our social medias and stuff as well. Bibles and Baseball. We're on Facebook and Instagram. We're working out the whole TikTok thing, and
Well,
all
you
that.
answered a question. I was going to ask you that at the end, like where to find you guys. And
Yeah,
I see you guys on Facebook. You guys are trying to work the TikTok thing out.
Yeah, we're trying to
that's
get
the
the
move
TikTok
right now,
thing
dude.
figured out. Trying to do some shorts and all that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
we are doing that, and then obviously you can find us on BiblesandBaseball.com, where, to Justin's point, earlier, we release devotionals every single Friday.
Very cool.
We're a resource, for coaches, players, parents, whoever wants to step in and lead that. It's crazy the testimonies that we've already gotten, from releasing devotionals. I mean, I've had parents text me saying, "Hey, thank you so much for what you're doing. My son is, in an older age group, and he being able to relate to him, at his age through baseball has been extremely valuable. So we just, I just want to say thank you. I believe in what you're doing,
That's cool.
and it's stuff like that, man.
That kind of
you're
stuff
just
keeps you
like,
going too, doesn't
yeah,
it?
man.
You know what I
it's
mean?
like, because
Yeah.
again, like, he left the 99 for the one.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if just one, then that's
worth it.
enough. Then that's 100% worth it.
Yeah.
So
Man, I love it. I appreciate you guys coming on, dude.
Yeah, for sure.
We're definitely going to have you back because I got like 1,000 more questions. And as we get closer to baseball, a lot of these things will come to mind. So, and I'd like to, just thinking out loud, thinking kind of in the future, but we get beyond the event you guys have in January, maybe bringing you back on and letting you guys recap that. And by then I'll have got a bunch of other questions that I want to get asked. But just, man, to have you guys come in here and explain what it is that you guys do and are already doing, and then what your mission is in the future has been a blessing to me. I mean, just to get to hear that and know that there are organizations that have Jesus in mind, because I know my kids are going to play baseball. I mean, at least for now, they're going to be playing baseball for the next 3-4 years. I mean, I don't know if they're going to be the kids that burn out when they're 13 or not, but I know that they're going to be playing for the foreseeable future. And so it's good to know that there's organization like you guys that exist that's going to be bringing Jesus into that. And to know that there are players who likely don't know Jesus in a lot of cases are going to get to hear that same gospel.
Yeah.
I mean, that's huge, man. And I'm excited about, what's to come for you guys. And so we're going to be praying for you all.
yeah, I appreciate that.
We pray in the mornings here as a group, and there are some very specific organizations that we like to give to God, and so we'll be praying for you. And then after the show, again, I'm not talking podcast, but after the show, don't let me forget. There's a couple of contacts that I want to give you guys and put you in touch with. So.
And like us, I mean, honestly, man, and back to Justin's point again, we would love to partner with different organizations. We would love to partner with different coaches. If it's something that, and this is what I want people to understand too. Hey, listen, you may not be comfortable doing the devotionals. That's okay. We want to be that resource for you as well. Like, I'm willing, Justin's willing, our board, like, we're willing to come. If you're like, hey, man, I'm playing on a Sunday and I want you all to come. Absolutely. Let me know what park you're at. Like, it doesn't matter to me. I'll be there, and I had an opportunity this past summer to go to Lincoln County. One of the
Where's Lincoln County? Is that east,
it's
northeast?
No, it's down south. It's just north of Somerset.
Okay.
So I was able to go down there and lead a devotional to start their baseball camp off.
That's cool.
Coach Trent Shoemate, great dude, was like, bro, will you come and will you start us off? And I was like, absolutely, I will. I took off work, and my wife and kiddos, we went down to Lincoln County, and we just were able to pour into a really phenomenal. It was his first. I got to give my man props, man. Literally, first year doing baseball camp, he had over 75 kids registered. And
in Lincoln County,
and had his
That's
whole
crazy.
baseball team there. Was able to again host a phenomenal camp. So if there's something like that, if there's some type of even now, if you're doing winter workouts or you're doing whatever, like, we would love to come, and just hang out. Like, I'm not to connect, to be that. And again, we're willing and able, to do those things. So by all means, reach out to us. My phone number's on the website, on our Facebook and all that kind of stuff. And we'll get involved and in contact and all that kind of stuff. So,
and that's a big thing, man. There's so many people that are uncomfortable with this. This sounds good, but it's not. I can't do that.
Yeah.
Maybe not yet, but like give us an opportunity to come in and
Right.
help you, come alongside you, and we'll do whatever.
Coach
we
you
can.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and give you that confidence.
Yeah, I mean, and that's, that is to your point exactly, like to be able to even help coaches, right? To essentially grow in their walk with the Lord, and to feel that confidence, because I mean, man, you see some of these coaches on the field, and man, they got some confidence, you know what I mean, in coaching and doing all the things, and it's like, but then to Justin's point, like, well, I don't necessarily feel comfortable with this. Well, let's work on that. You know what I mean? It's in you. It's obviously
Exactly.
in you.
I
That
think-
leadership is
yeah.
in you.
Yeah.
Let me pull that out of you. Let me help you in that. Do I get it right? Heck no.
That's what I was going to say. I think realizing that you
yeah.
aren't going to get it right
Heck
and being
no.
okay with that,
Yep.
that's the trick.
I'm just here, I'm just here to go after Jesus, and
Yeah.
so and helping guys realize that everything, that you need is already on the inside of you. And it's just really just digging into him and really seeking his face to pull it out of you, so.
Well, that's great, man. That's great. I will be we'll be leveraging that as well. And it's so cool that you guys will go, throughout the state and pour into that. And I think just the planting the seeds and giving people confidence, that's where you're going to see this thing really begin to grow.
Yeah.
Because when you begin to see coaches take on, what you guys are doing and buying into what you guys are doing and sharing the gospel on their own,
Yeah.
that's where the magic is going to happen.
Yeah.
And that's where it's going to spread like wildfire.
Well, and it's crazy because so you're talking about going out and all that kind of stuff, man. I gotta shout some guys out down in Texas, the Dinger Disciples, man.
The Dinger Disciples.
yeah, dude, they're a phenomenal group.
Phenomenal name.
Phenomenal group
We
out
just
of
got
Texas.
back from Texas. We love it.
And they, we've connected, like we have connected, and they're like, dude, we love what you're doing in Kentucky, and I'm like, guys, I love what y'all are doing in Texas. Like they're baptizing kids. They have their big thing, right now is camps and stuff. And so they're hosting these camps, and at the end of their camps, they're doing baptisms on the field. Like that.
That's cool.
That is it gets me so amped and excited. I told them the first time we had a Zoom call, I was like, I don't know about y'all.
Listen, man, I'm not
But
going to
I
lie.
am ready to go to. I was like, when's the next camp? Because I'm booking my flight to come to Texas to just be there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, just to watch.
Because and it's going to take more than just Bibles and baseball, right? It's going it's an army essentially, of believers and people with like minds to really, push and spread and do all the things. And so I just think that. Yeah, man, I hope that we're just, we get to be that small part of, something bigger that the Lord is doing in this time. And I just think that it's super, super vital and super important. But yeah, I told him, I was like, boys, I'm trying to figure out today how I'm going to give y'all a little bit of props on.
No, that's sweet. Dude, I almost asked you earlier when you were talking about your all's first tournament where you guys kind of stopped and you were doing the thing. I was like, do y'all have a trough in the back of the truck in case somebody got saved? You dump them under the water?
It was an idea, right?
Really?
Our social media director, she was like, hey, so Lawson, are you prepared to baptize people? And I was like, no, but I probably should be.
Is there a creek next to the park?
And to that, man, let me just say, I do want to go back to that if we have time. Like that.
We're
we
good,
can chat
dude.
about that.
We're good. Yeah.
I would love to talk about that tournament. Mount Washington youth baseball and softball. They were so good to us. They believed so much in what we were doing. We were able to go in and just really. And we set a really high bar. The Lord just showed in every single intricate detail, like you could tell that it was the Lord. From Saturday, we started off, the day obviously with prayer, the national anthem. Like it felt, you know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna lie, like there was a tangible presence of the Lord at the ball the entire weekend. But it was like, Deacon and I both, man, like we were walking by one of the fields and we were by ourselves and I was like, just stop. And he was like, what? And I was like, look at this and just take this in right now. I was like, because this is amazing. You know what I mean? And like, I said, Josh, this is the Lord, bro. Like every single thing from home plate meetings to again, Justin's point, we did a devotional on Sunday. We did it right after the first bracket play game of all divisions, and it was phenomenal. I'm gonna hold back with how many I feel like, but I would almost be willing to bet that over 400 people at one time got to hear the gospel.
Wow.
Got to hear the gospel
At a baseball field.
At a baseball field, to where we had sound equipment that day that was rented for the weekend, and we just stopped. And I was like, "Hey, and I told coaches coming in, like, this is what to expect. Like, this is I don't want you to come in with some crazy, because we were able." We were able, and by the grace of God, to do this to where we didn't have to charge teams to come and play.
Yeah, that was one of the big things for us.
We didn't.
This is it.
We
This is
didn't
the
have
tournament
to.
we gotta go to.
We were not charging teams to come in and play.
Yeah.
Now we were charging a gate fee, but listen, you talk about money, right? Like how to partner and all the things. Like it does take money to run
Right,
things,
it
and
just is what it is.
there's no two ways around that. It does take money to run things, and so we had to do something, obviously, outside of what we had, been able to. Our partners, and partnerships were able to come in and do with us, but we were able to do that. But it was just we stopped everything, and I was like, hey, let's everybody come over here. And we did, man. I mean, you go on our socials and check out all the pictures from the weekend. Our photographer did fantastic in capturing moments, like that. And that's Sarah Vincent with Diddy Digital.
Oh, yeah.
Like she
I know Sarah Vincent.
she came in and did our pictures, and she's phenomenal. There were just moments, right,
Yeah.
of that you could just see the Lord in His handiwork, right? And it was cool, man. It was phenomenal. And yeah, Lou came in.
Yeah,
was
I knew they were there.
Yeah, Lou came in and was like, "Hey, man, I'll give you, I'll donate, 3 Smash sessions." And so we were able to give a
that's
Smash
cool.
session away for the 8U group, the 9U group, and the 11U group. So we were able to do that. Guardian Baseball came in and was like, "Hey, we're hosting a pitching camp. We want to give one of those away. Hey, here's a sliding mitt. We want to give one of those away." Like, which was just, dude, it was phenomenal. Like, and I don't know, man. Should I tell them the story about the pitching camp stuff? Because I'm not gonna lie, it got me. It got me.
That's a good
It
one.
got me big. So 11U championship just finishes, and it was one of, obviously, the Otters. 11U was in the championship game, and then
Was it the Bats and the Otters, or was that a
no, it
different?
was
Okay.
it was the Otters and the Derby City Sluggers.
Okay.
They were in the championship game, and the Sluggers, came runners up, and so we're right before the ring ceremony. One of the reps from Guardian had come over and was like, "Hey, we're going to give this away. Like, we want you to give this away." And so I was like, "You know what? I'm going to give it to the 11U group. Like, we'll figure this out." And so I'm here, I'm hearing these kids, and I hear a kid was like, "Man, happy birthday," and I'm like, "Happy birthday." I'm like, "Is this somebody's birthday?" And sure enough, it was one of the kids' birthdays on the team, on the Sluggers. And so I was like, I'm doing it. Like, well, what better birthday
Yeah,
gift,
come
right?
on, man,
Like,
yeah.
I'm going to do it. So we gave him that pitching clinic for his birthday, and we were able to pour into that thanks to Guardian. And we get done with the ring ceremony, and the coach comes over, and he's like, "Man, you don't know what that means." And we were like, "Okay, cool." Like,
And it's his birthday.
And yeah, and he just went a little bit deeper and was just like, "You have no idea what that means to that kid right now." He was like, "I'm not going to go into details, or whatever." He was like, "But just know." And so for us, that was like, Lord, you did it.
He worked that
You know what
out.
I'm saying? Like you, and that's what I say, man. Like when I tell you the Lord is in the details.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't think that He cares about you, He does. Like at the end of the day, like if you don't think that He cares about those little things, He 100% does.
Yeah.
He's going to come in, and it's almost like hey, I know you're struggling right now, and I see that, but I want to show you a side of me. You know what I mean? That you may not have seen before, and I want to show you this. And it's like we were able to bless him. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
at the end of the day, I don't care. Like, I don't care what happens the rest of the day. That life was forever impacted, and I guarantee you that kid will never forget what happened to him that day. And it's like,
And through an organization called Bibles
yeah,
and
dude.
Baseball.
And it was just
You
like,
know what I mean? And so he's going to know that
the
that was
hand
a
of the
faith-based
Lord,
organization.
100%. The hand of the Lord was on that, and so he's in the details. He's in
Yeah.
the details, and so back, like I said, to that tournament, man, we were able to go and do a couple different. We had to. It was crazy. We did that our first devotional right after our first bracket play game, and we're going on throughout the day. And I knew we had to do another devotional because there were two teams that essentially weren't there because they got the 1 seed. And their 1 seed games didn't play until later on in the day. And so we'd already discussed that, of like, how are we going to do this? And we were like, Justin was like, let's just be fluid. Let's, we'll figure it out. It's okay. I was like, all right, fine. So it worked out perfect to where we were able to go and we were able to do a devotional right before the 9U championship game. We were able to do a devotional right before ring ceremony after that game. And then which literally led right to the 8U game. We were able to walk down to the 8U field and do it. So it was just it was a very good picture of what Bibles and baseball is about. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be some huge devotional. Don't get me wrong. That was amazing. And awesome. I was floored by the response.
Yeah.
But it also can be on the field, in that avenue. And this, like, there were several different ways that the Lord was like, hey, I'm going to show myself, you know what I mean? In a couple different ways today.
Where two or more are gathered. You had said that earlier.
Absolutely.
And so, that's awesome.
It was just really cool, man. Like,
man, I love when that stuff happens, cool. when God works stuff out.
Absolutely.
Like that. And that's just so, there's no greater evidence that what you were doing has his hand in it than when things like that happen. Man, that is really cool. Man, I'm super grateful for you guys and your time. I know we've been trying to get this done for a while. I had to reschedule on you at the last second because of our office and all the stuff we were dealing with. But it's been great having you guys on. It's been a big blessing just for me to kind of sit back and listen to the story. And so we'll be praying for you guys. If there's anything that we can talk more off camera, but anything that you guys need, if you're listening to this and you're in the Louisville area or in Kentucky, we have a lot of listeners in like the service-based industry all around the United States. So we got a lot of listeners in like Texas. That's one of our bigger markets. So maybe some of them have heard of the
Dinger Disciples.
The Dinger Disciples.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, if you guys have any questions about what these guys are doing, or maybe you're like, hey, my kid, we have a lot of listeners who we met actually in Texas at this event we went to, whose kids play baseball. And so maybe you're like, how can I bring this, to Texas? What could we do there? How can we, expand this movement? Reach out to Bibles and Baseball on social media. Like Ryan said, his number is there. You can give him a DM, but check these guys out because I believe in what you guys are doing, and I think that it's going to continue to spread like wildfire. I think, the Lord, according to your own evidence, and then even through like just me, some just dad who doesn't really know baseball, hearing what is happening, I can see it. I can see it beginning to spread. So thank you guys for coming on.
Thank you.
We will have you on an episode, I'd say probably February-ish, let you get through January. And if you guys would like, I'd love to have you back on and kind of hear how that goes.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah,
so,
for sure.
All right, guys. Anything else that you all wanted to add in the end?
No. I will say this. I will say 100%, from my position, whatever you want to say. Like, I have a great board, around me, a phenomenal team that literally that just helps drive this ship, and so like it's not just a one person type deal, like we're all in this, and going after the same thing. And so we've got some amazing things coming up. And so it's just like, it's really nice to have those people, alongside of you that are like, hey, let's go, and honestly, I'll say this even more so, people that even aren't technically quote on our board, right? That have jumped in, just really good friends of ours. And, what can we do? How can we help? Because again, like that, it's a lot. It is a whole lot sometimes. But it's like having those people around you, is super important. And so I personally am super grateful for those connections, and that the Lord, is leading and guiding and all that kind of stuff. And so again, like, it's reassuring to me, as that portion of like, hey, so I just, publicly, and I've said it, 100 different times, but thank you, because it couldn't be done, my wife is phenomenal. She puts up with me through all of this. I think I stress her out more than anything sometimes. But she is a phenomenal helpmate. She is literally a gift from the Lord. I couldn't stress that enough. She is phenomenal, a phenomenal wife and mother of 3 kids. She keeps our house together. So if it wasn't for our wives, I think Justin can probably agree to that. If it wasn't for our wives, I
know the feeling. I don't know. I wouldn't be able to get anything done.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think about what she does, and I'm like, man, I would not survive.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for letting me go to work. You stay home and
Yeah.
educate
Yeah,
the
no,
kids
for real. That's you.
Take care of the house.
That's you.
She
Yeah.
nails it. But
When
I couldn't trade places.
no,
She's too good.
I used to joke with her all the time, like, well, I'm at work all day. And then I come home, you've been at home all day. And then she's like, you wouldn't.
do that. That's
She's
how the
like, you
fight
would not
starts.
trade me if we got paid $1 million a year. And I'm like, there's no chance.
That's how the fight starts.
Yeah. No, it was always jokingly, but I would never mean that, because what wives do to raise families, man, it is
Because
a lot.
it is. I mean, we honestly, man, like if it wasn't for for
Oh,
our
yeah.
wives, like
You can't. You just can't.
absolutely not.
Yeah.
So I would be crazy not to give my wife credit for sure. So yeah, and like I said, I mean, man, we have again an amazing team around us. Our social media director, Kari Burns, absolutely knocks it out of the park. No pun intended. She is on top of things. It
was a great pun, though.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
I did that. But she's a phenomenal resource. She handles multiple businesses and does a lot of different things on social media wise, and so to have her in our corner is just phenomenal. But yeah, those people, man, like you just can't do it without them.
Yeah.
You just can't,
Right.
because it is so much bigger. And what the Lord is asking us to do is a lot. But we're here for it.
Right.
We are 100% here for it. So
I mean, most of what you're teaching these kids at a young age is to learn how to operate inside of a team environment, because there are going to come points in life where they have to do what you're doing right now. And if they can't figure out how to do that at a young age, how to master it, or if they can, they're going to be very skilled at it when they get to this level, and then maybe they get to start an organization of some similarity and spread it even more. And so it's just a
than
testament. It is. It's always bigger than baseball. It is.
bigger than
so.
baseball.
So, guys, thank you so much. If you guys enjoyed this episode, please share it. We are not running ads. We're doing everything organically. So share it on all your social media platforms. We'll be sharing the link to this episode. We appreciate you guys so much for watching. Please be praying for the guys here at Bibles and Baseball, that God will continue to bless what they're doing and spread what they are doing throughout the nation. We thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you on the next episode.